Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dee Reinhardt with Illinois WorkNet. Today we are going to be talking about money matters and how your personal credit and your business finances impact each other. And today we have a couple of lovely guest speakers who are going to help us through the process. Juliana Hackle-Judd is with the BMO Harris Bank. Juliana, tell me a little bit about what you do for BMO.
Okay. I am a CRA relationship manager. CRA stands for Community Reinvestment Act. And my job at the bank is to do community outreach for affordable housing initiatives. So I work with nonprofit groups, government agencies, faith-based, wherever we can really meet with our clients. We serve low and moderate income families and help them achieve the dream of home ownership.
Great. And our other guest speaker today is Thomas Cassell from the Harper College, Illinois Small Business Development Center. Tom, tell us what the SBDC does for the community.
Sure. So there's about 1,000 of these centers set up across the country, and we're all set up to do the same thing, which is provide no-cost business consulting advice to folks that want to get into business. That represents about half our clients, and then the other half are folks that are already in business. And we work with all different kinds of clients, from medium-sized companies to the person that just has an idea for a business. And everything we do is free, and there's about 30 in Illinois.
Great, great. All right. So money has never made man happy, nor will it. There's nothing in its nature to produce happiness. The more of it one has, the more one wants. I've also heard that money is just a secondary reinforcement, that you can't really, unless you're using it as trade, there's nothing prettier or anything that you can do with money itself. So what's the big deal? Why are people so enthralled with it? I don't know. Let's get into our conversation here, though, and let's talk about credit. So, Juliana, tell me a little bit about what credit means for a person, for an individual.
Okay. Credit is really very important. It really is a snapshot of where you are as far as your debts, as far as how many obligations you have. What's probably on your, I would just say to go over what would be on your credit report and what gives you a credit score. It would be things like credit cards, store cards, student loans, car loan if you have a mortgage. And then it just kind of shows how you've been paying back your debt. Do you carry a lot of debt? Do you pay your bills on time? And all of these things add up to what would be your credit score. And people are really interested in the credit score, whether it's somebody you're going to rent an apartment from. Employers oftentimes look at your credit score. And of course, if you're looking to buy a house or a car, they're going to take what your credit score is into account, because that's actually your credit history and how you've managed your money so far.
And just because you have some money in your pocket doesn't mean that you have credit, correct?
That's right. That's right. And it doesn't matter the amount of money that you make or the amount of money that you have. That does not impact your credit score. Your credit score is just based on how you've been handling your finances in the past.
Great. Great. Thanks for that answer. So what we want to do is we want to cover just a few things to talk to people who might be new to the workforce or returning after a long layoff, the things that they might want to consider to help them with their personal finances and to build that credit. So why do you want to use a bank, Juliana?
Well, I think one of the main reasons is just the added security to know your money is in a safe place. You can also really develop a team of people that are there to help you be successful with your finances, whether it's a personal banker or a financial advisor. There's a lot of people that can help you kind of, especially if you're just starting out and you're not quite sure how to manage your money. We always recommend that you don't go to a payday loan or a check cashing place because they all charge fees, and your money just isn't secure. If you go in and cash your $600 paycheck and you're walking around with $600, that's not nearly as safe as having that safely in the bank.
That's right. And then let's talk just briefly about what budgeting can help you do.
Budgeting is super, super important because it doesn't matter how much money you have, if you don't know where it's going and how much you're saving, you really don't know where you are financially. And there's so many good opportunities to do a budget. If people like, there's apps for your phone, there's online resources, there's paper, of course, you can write down. But I think the first thing, the key is for a budget, and I had to do this when I was starting my budget, is where is my money going now? Because I made up my budget and it all worked out to the penny, and I said, I spend $300 on groceries and $100 on fuel. Well, after I actually started tracking it for a couple months, I was off. So then you have to actually know where to start. Start by seeing where your money's going, and then you can come up with a budget, and then you'll find out where you can do some savings too.
That's good. All of these things sound really a lot like what you have to do for your business as well, doesn't it, Tom?
Yeah, they're very similar. They're very similar. And good, if you have good managing practices on your personal side, chances are you're going to have good, management practices on your business side as well.
Right. And then things that you can do to build credit, Juliana. Our PowerPoint presentation says responsible use of credit cards and payments on items such as a car will help build higher credit scores. One thing that I've heard is that if you can't pay off the whole balance, at least pay the minimum payments of things on time. And that way your credit is never impacted.
Right. The major impact of your credit score is your activity history. Have you paid your bills on time? The second largest is the balances that you carry. So if you have a $1,000 credit limit on a Visa, they recommend now that you have no more than a $300 balance at any given time. Of course, it's preferential to pay the whole thing off every month, but you don't want to carry a balance of $900 on a $1,000 card. That just doesn't look like you're handling your money effectively. Yeah. But the credit scores range from like 350 to 800, and probably right now a good credit score would be around 700. So you can see it's pretty high at the top. So you have to establish your credit. And I think one of the things here, because you're going to need a credit score if you're going to buy a car, because they're going to look and see what your credit looks like. So you can start out with, a smaller credit card. Some banks offer a credit builder type of financial loan where it's like a CD loan, and so that will build credit for you. But you need to have some credit. Even if you have credit cards, we recommend use the credit card, pay off the balance, but just showing that you have some open, active credit that you can have, and it will report favorably.
Sure. Great. Those are great tips. Some ideas. Let's talk about some ideas that you can improve your personal financial literacy. I've got some links on the next slide, but what are a couple of things that people might want to do?
Well, I think the first thing is to get a copy of your credit report so you know what's on there. You can get a free copy if you go to annualcreditreport.com, and it will show the 3 bureaus and what is on your credit report. Because sometimes people have things on there like a medical collection or something they don't even know about. It's also good to monitor for identity theft, make sure someone else isn't accessing your Social Security number and using it to obtain credit and under their name. So it's good to know what's on your credit report, and that way if you need to dispute anything or have something removed, you can work on that to help improve your score.
Those are good ideas. Where can people learn about improving their financial literacy? That's a good segue to my next slide.
Right, right. I was going to say there are so many wonderful tools that are available now. The has a curriculum where there's all different modules of everything you might want to know, from financial saving for retirement to buying a home to your first car. There's just a lot of really, really good resources. There's also, we just had Money Smart Week. That's put on by the Federal Reserve Bank, and there's a lot of wonderful free activities, and there's just a lot of good information.
And when is that? Isn't that normally the last week of April every year?
Yep, yep.
All right. And then Illinois WorkNet has a whole section from the menu under the updates for money management, and we have a lot of links to various resources, including we have all of the modules from the Money Smart program included in our database. Another resource that you might want to consider is a local United Way office can direct you to a consumer credit counseling agency within your community. So those are a couple of things that you might want to use as resources to help build your financial literacy, for your personal financial literacy.
Right. You know, and one thing too, Dee, is that these are all reputable organizations and links to get information, because unfortunately there are people that are trying to scam those that may not know as much about the finances, and so you just want to be careful who you're working with. If someone tells you they can repair your credit in 30 days and get you an 800 score if you pay them $5,000 or something, is probably a scam. So just be very careful and look to these reputable sources that Dee has listed here.
Yes. Okay, so now the question between the two of you, we're gonna fight it out here, Tom and Juliana. What's the difference between personal credit and business credit?
I'll let Juliana answer that first.
Oh, I was going to defer to you, Tom.
Well,
go ahead. Go ahead.
So, since 2008, all banks are requiring now, no matter what, what kind of money you borrow, if it's a business loan, you're going to have to sign a personal guarantee. So, which means that you're on the hook for the money no matter what. Now, business credit, a lot of people have the misconception about business credit that, you see advertisements, hey, I can get you a new credit file if you've gone bankrupt or you have a bad credit score. We'll just start this company and, we'll get your company to have a good credit score. It really doesn't work that way. So any business that is going to apply for a loan, or any person that's going to apply for a loan, your personal credit is always looked at from a banking standpoint. So the business credit, I would say, is unless you're a giant company, is really a very small portion of the criteria that the underwriters will make for a business loan. It's really all about your personal credit. And the SBA, who guarantees some of these loans, says they even have their own cutoff, which is a 680. So the SBA says if you have less than a 680, you're not going to get a SBA guaranteed loan. Now the banks want, the banks that we deal with, especially since 2008, 2009, they're looking for folks that have 720 credit scores. Now there are some organizations that will lend to folks who have less of a credit score than a 680. But they're few and far between. So I would say the advice here would be, if you're looking to get into business, your personal credit needs to be looked at and worked on and managed, and the higher, the better, and it's going to make a big impact on your business and your ability to borrow.
Do business loans impact your personal credit reports?
So it depends on how you're set up, or if the loan is in the business name, it will not, just like a business credit card doesn't show up on your personal credit report. But, there are some sole proprietors that use their social as their, and they're in their rights to do so, that will be on your personal credit. So if you apply a
All right.
bank loan and you're a sole prop, it's going to show up.
Okay. All right. All right. Our next slide is, Tom, Juliana told us what credit means. So tell us what finance means for the business.
Finance is just another, it's just a word to say, where are you going to get the money to do what you want to do with your business? And that could mean lots of different things, right? So you could already have money and you could need more money. You can, to start, so you're financing your whole business. You could finance a separate invoice, if you're already established and somebody sends you an order and you don't have the money to produce that order, you can get that purchase order financed. So there's many tools within a business that people use to finance different parts of their business. That's what I would say about that.
That's good. So it's different than credit because it's how you operate your business rather than how you can get the money.
Right.
All right.
Exactly.
Okay, so how can you improve your business financial literacy? And
Sure.
Tom, you gave me a couple of great points right here.
So I would just say, this is the one thing we probably see the most, and that is folks that go into business don't necessarily have the skills of a CPA, right? They don't. They might be good at one particular, maybe sales or marketing, but usually folks don't have that skill set. But there's ways that it's in your best interest when you do have a business to learn as much as you can about how the money works within your business. So how do you do that? There's a couple of different ways that we suggest you do that. One of which is a good way is just to download some software, either QuickBooks, the free version, or there's many apps that people use. There's probably 100 different companies in this space now that provide program apps or cloud-based solutions for small business. And that is just to set up a fake company and pretend like you're making income and allocate, money to different accounts and pay bills out of different accounts just to see how the money works within your business. And then a lot of these tools have you can print out balance sheets and income statements and those type of tools, and you can change up the numbers and see how it changes those the balance sheet or an income statement. So that's a good and free way to learn about business finance. Is just to do it. It's just to set it up and put some data in it. It doesn't have to be connected to any bank accounts. There is a lot of good information. If you just Google, financial literacy for small business, you'll find a lot of great tools there. There are hundreds of videos on YouTube, some better than others, but you can get some really good information there as well. The third thing that I would say is, there are these centers, there's small business development centers all over Illinois, but certainly all over the U.S. And you can sit down with somebody. We have two CPAs that come in here. One comes in every week. One comes in at least a couple times a month. You can sit down with them and get your questions answered for specific things on financial literacy for your business. So you have a mentor that you'll be working with. Yeah, sure.
We did have a question from the audience. How do you obtain your credit score? Isn't there like a 1-800 number or something that you can dial?
Well, you can go online to annualcreditreport.com. They won't give you your score, but they will give you a free copy of your credit report. Or if you work with some of the nonprofit organizations that do debt counseling or financial counseling, they can get a copy of the credit report for you too.
And also, if you go to Fair Isaac, the folks that came up with all the scoring criteria, you can order any score from Fair Isaac for, I think it's $19.95, for each one of the 3 bureaus.
Great. Great. That's good. All right. So I found this checklist online, Tom, for a business. And do you want to talk about any of the particular points that they say that you need to develop? It looks to me kind of like a business plan, but for the financial side of things. And I have the link at the bottom of the page there.
Yeah, the most important thing I would say, especially for new businesses, is you really gotta know. You have to put some time in to figure out how much is this idea going to cost you, right, in the beginning. Is this a $10,000 idea? Is this a $500 idea? Or is this a $250,000 idea? So how much is that going to cost you to carry your business idea out? That is the first thing you got to do. Now, you can do that on your own. You can work with an organization like us to figure that out. But you know, that's the first thing. That's the first thing you need to know. Second thing you need to know is how much money you have available to you. You know, where are you going to get this from? The chances of a brand new business, when even people with halfway decent credit, of getting a business loan is very, very slim. Most businesses are started with friends and family or personal money.
Or Shark Tank on television.
Or Shark Tank on television, right. Okay, so then you need to find out how much you have available to you, right? And then you're going to go back to your idea and say, okay, I need to shave $20,000 off my idea. How am I going to do that? So I think those two things are the most important first steps on figuring out, especially to get started. Once you're started, having some kind of accounting system to keep track of your inventory, keep track of who's paying you, who owes you what, who you owe, money to, keep track of all your customer information and everything like that. Just by using a tool like that, most of those tools have the ability to print out, the things that the banks like to see, which are, income statements, balance sheets, and those things. And interpreting those is another is the art, right? So you print those out. You don't understand them. You can look online. If you don't have any answers there, you can certainly come to a place like this or work with your accountant if you have one and ask them questions. These other things, just like on the personal side, they're important, but you're going to have your hands full just trying to get a business off the ground. Then, you can spend a lot of time on, how you're going to use your profits, investing, or if you're going to save, or if you're going to, set up a retirement account. And those are good problems to have, but usually in the beginning, you're not going to have that luxury.
Right.
So I think those two things, and the checklist, that would be, how much is this project going to cost you, and how much money you have available to you. And those are the two most important things. And the other thing is, once you get those, what is it going to cost? What's your break-even point? Which is not on this, but that is a very important piece of information.
Yeah. Yes, that's very true, because you could be working, and you're never making a dime of profit.
Right.
And
I mean, if it costs you, $5,000 a month in overhead, or salary or rent, you have to be bringing at least that into your business to pay for it.
Right.
And probably more, especially if you're on a product-based, if you have a product-based business.
Right. And all of that boils down to, how did you plan in advance to start your business? And did you just drop everything one day from your job and go decide you were going to start your business, or did you do some planning and get your personal credit in shape by things that Juliana suggested, and make those moves and do the prior proper planning, as I call it.
So here's an interesting thing. So to your point, if you do need a loan, a small loan or any kind of loan, and say you do have the collateral and you do have the credit and you do have the experience, right, in your industry, and you are starting a business, those things are important. You know.
Yeah, right.
You know, I would have something to add too, because when you're starting a business, if it's based on how many assets you have, what's in your bank account, what kind of credit you have, how much available credit you have on credit cards. But I think it's important that once you establish your business, that you have a separate bank account for that, a separate checking account, because you don't want to have your personal mingled in with the business at that point.
Yeah, and that's what we teach. That's a great point. And I would say do it in the beginning. Do it when you set up your company. Do it right away. Start, put $500 in that account, and then any expense that you have for your business gets taken out of that account, and any money that you make from that business goes into that account. And it just makes things a lot cleaner for the end of the year taxes. Because you can almost use your bank account as as an accounting program. You can see what's coming and going.
Right. The reason why I know that is because my husband has his own business. You learn a lot when you're starting a business, and you make a lot of mistakes if you don't have this set up prior. Believe me.
Right.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to the next slide, which is some business credit resources. And Tom, you want to talk about those a little bit?
Sure. So the SBA site it has come a long way in the last 3 or 4 years. It is really now very usable, very user-friendly, and you can get a lot of great information about how to run your business, how to start a business, how to sell a business, anything business-related from that first link, from the Small Business Administration or the SBA. There's videos, you can get some templates, financial template tools through them. They're just a really very helpful organization for folks that are in business. Small Business Development Centers are more of the hands-on, one-on-one. We meet with the owners or business clients privately. Everything's confidential, and we're like their consulting arm of their business, except we don't cost any money. It's all prepaid through tax dollars. So they're both very helpful organizations for business owners.
And are there any other, Harper has its own web page for your organization, and I neglected to put that on there, but each local facility has their own local resources as well, and you've got a vast network of connections that can help small businesses otherwise as well.
Yeah, so all SBDCs, although we do the same type of work, they're organized in different ways. And the one out in Harper, our center has a couple of unique features that other centers don't. So we have partnered with a law firm, an accounting firm, an HR firm, a prototyping firm, and they're here so you can meet with them for free and get whatever legal advice you need. They're not going to do the legal work for you, but you can get pointed in the right direction, and you can get a strategy together, certainly, for no money at all. So we have a lot of those resources here. We do a bunch of classes, and we do QuickBooks class once a year. And all of that you can get to just by going to harpercollege.biz, and you can learn more about what we do there.
And I was just talking to somebody today that wanted to learn how to use QuickBooks better. So
Yeah.
I was thinking about that, and I thought, okay, well, I need to direct them there too, but they're out west of where you are. So that's great. That's great news. All right, so thank you for your time today, everybody, for participating in watching the recording, because that's probably what you're doing right now is watching the recording. We have more items that will be popping up. You can follow us on Eventbrite and watch our news items that come out on Illinois WorkNet. And I want to thank our speakers, Juliana Heckel, Judd from BMO Harris, and Tom Cassell from the SBDC at Harper College. So thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate you volunteering your efforts for us.
Sure thing.